Villager trading halls are awesome. Everything you need in one place. I've made a few villager trading halls in my Minecraft days, and you can get tons of items out of these villagers. Want some glowstone? It's as easy as a trade. Golden carrots, the best food in the game, as easy as a trade. Also, you can get enchanted diamond armor and enchanted books, which makes getting OP armor like super duper easy. Not to mention, there are some exclusive things that you can only get with villager trading, like cartographer maps and banner patterns. Stick that thing in a loom and then bam, look at it, it's so gorgeous, so beautiful. All of these trades cost emeralds. You may be thinking, emeralds? Those aren't that easy to get. I mean, I gotta go to like some mountainous area and mine up emeralds. Wrong! You can trade for emeralds. You can turn plain old sticks into emeralds. Wheat, carrots, potatoes, these things are useless. You can turn those things into emeralds. So let's set you up with a fantastic villager trading hall. This will give you a ton of villagers and different trading options so that you can easily run in there, get what you need, and leave. Now available for Java and Bedrock. The materials themselves are fairly simple. Like, you just need some building blocks, enough wool for a ton of beds. Really, what takes the most effort and time is getting the villagers and then actually making everything, just because it's kind of a large build. The steps are get the villagers, build the trading hall, get the villagers in the trading hall, and then give the villagers the workstations you want them to have so that they can trade. Step 1, how to get villagers, and lots of them. You'll need to find villagers out in your world. I would say, you know, look for villages. They have villagers. Now get those villagers to the area that you want your trading hall to be, or close by at least. I find using boats to be the easiest way to transport villagers. You can also use minecarts. All you really need is 2 villagers at this point to start up your breeding machine. What do villagers need in order to breed? This all rhymes and I hate it. First, villagers need to be fed, and you can do this with 4 different food sources, either bread, carrots, potatoes, or beetroots. How do you feed a villager? Well, you just throw the food at them and then they pick it up. Next, there needs to be an empty bed for a new villager to occupy. So if you only have like 2 beds for your villagers or no beds at all, well, that's not enough beds. You need extra beds. So as many beds as you want villagers. If you're looking for 100 villagers, you need 100 beds. That's probably too many villagers, so don't do that. Starting off with maybe like 20 beds for 20 villagers. Now, your 2 original villagers will take up 2 of those beds, so they will make 18 more. And the third thing you need is time, because villager breeding happens at specific times during the day. They have work hours, they have sleeping hours, they have like times when they're just chilling out with the homies. And during that chilling time is also baby making time. Oh la la. A technique that I like to use is put your 2 villagers in a space with a carrot farm. Put down 2 separate workstations, composters specifically, to turn those villagers into farmers. Now, whenever the carrots become harvestable, those farmer villagers will go over, pick it up, it'll be in their inventory, and then they'll replant the carrots. So, hey, you have like a cool carrot farm. But also, if they have extra carrots in their inventory, they will throw them to villagers that don't have enough food, therefore creating the cycle of breeding. As long as you have those 2 farmer villagers, enough beds, and enough time, you will fill up that entire area with villagers. Now it's actually time to make the villager trading hall. Here are a few things that we want this hall to do. First off is we want it to be as compact as possible, because each little area is going to hold 1 villager, and that could take up a lot of space really fast. We want to be able to reach the villagers easily, because, you know, being able to actually get to them is how you start the trades. You kind of need to reach them, you know? And the villagers need to have everything that they require in order to make trades possible. That means that they need a workstation, and unfortunately, they also need a place to sleep. If they don't get enough sleep, then they won't work the next day. So you have to have a bed and a workstation. Another thing that would be like a good thing to have in this is a way to make sure that your villagers aren't going to escape if you remove the workstation. Sometimes you want different types of trades from your villagers, and the easiest way to do that is to remove the workstation and then put it back down again. So we want easy access to be able to grab the workstation up and place it down without the villager escaping. Let me show you the best method that I've found to make a villager trading hall. The interior of each villager's cell is only going to be 3 blocks large. You have 2 blocks taken up by the bed and 1 block to stand on. Using solid blocks, we're going to make some walls. We want these to be 3 high walls, and we're going to do it on the left, right, and back side of the bed. In front of where the villager would end up standing in their little cell, that is where we can place our workstation. I'm going to use a Fletcher's table for right now, but remember, this could be any workstation. Next, we need to add a roof. Now, this is going to differ depending on Java Edition or Bedrock Edition. Starting with Bedrock Edition, you can just add a roof. It's as simple as that. Make sure you place it on the 3rd block up, and you should be good to go. But on the Java Edition, there's a little bit of a problem. If you do the exact same thing, villagers just don't want to go to sleep. They look at that space and they're like, I don't got space to fit in there, okay? That is too cramped of a situation for me. I got claustrophobia. I'm not doing it. So what we have to do is raise the roof by 1 extra block. When you do that, then the villager will lay down in the bed finally and go to sleep. But this is a problem for us because if they have that 1 extra block of space, then they can decide to stand on the bed and chill out over there, which I hate because I can't reach them. Sometimes they're too far away from me. I want them to all stand in one spot and look really cool, so I don't like this method. So here is the workaround. Instead of placing solid blocks above the bed and the space where they stand, place down trap doors. For some reason, the Minecraft AI is cool with these being trap doors. Not cool with them being any other type of transparent block, so like glass or glowstone will not work, but trapdoors are okay. So now Bedrock and Java Edition, every time the villagers wake up, they will immediately be teleported to the front of the bed and stay there. They won't have enough room to move anywhere else, so they're easily reachable. Now, we don't want these villagers to escape if we ever change out their workstation. Right now, if you have a villager there and you break the workstation, they just leave. Like, come on, after all I did for you. We can prevent this from happening by placing down a single trapdoor above the workstation. Villagers are exactly 2 blocks high, so this tiny little sliver of a block will stop the villagers from leaving. You can still easily access the villagers above their workstation. It doesn't take up a ton of room, and you as the player can walk underneath it. You also have the added benefit of closing the trapdoor, and then you have like almost like a solid block in the way, which will come up later when you have baby villagers. Okay, so that is the design. And this is fully tileable, so you can just make this over and over and over again right next to each other. But we've missed a step. From getting the villagers to making the hall, we actually need to get the villagers into the trading hall. The absolute easiest way to do this is to make sure that you're building your trading hall next to where your villagers are being bred, and then at nighttime, when your villagers normally sleep, go ahead and make a hallway into the trading hall and then break all their beds in the original breeding area. They should hopefully wander on over to the new area with the beds and then eventually assign themselves a bed and fall asleep inside of it. Once you have a villager in a cell, that is when you can add the workstation or just a temporary block and then add the trapdoor on top of that. And then they're locked in their cell. Go ahead and remove any workstations or trapdoors that you have already installed, because we need this to be a too high gap so that the villagers can easily walk into their cells. Remember when I mentioned those pesky baby villagers? Well, that gap is going to be a problem. So if you ever have a cell that has a baby villager, you can just close the trapdoor to make sure that they absolutely will not escape. Once they grow up, then you can open the door back up and replace whatever block you have with the workstation. So we have the villagers, we have the trading hall, we have the villagers in the trading hall. Let's talk about workstations and jobs. Villagers have different professions: cartographer, farmer, fisherman, fletcher, leatherworker, and a ton more. If you give these villagers different workstations to work from, then they will have different types of trades. First, you'll want a way to get lots of emeralds. The fletcher, which requires the fletching table, will trade you sticks for emeralds. So if you just chop down a few logs, you can make lots of sticks, or if you have a bamboo forest, that will also generate a lot of sticks. Farmer villagers will trade food for emeralds, and so if you have a massive farm that will give you lots of carrots, this is a great way to get lots of emeralds from them. Eventually, they will be able to trade pumpkins and melons. So if you have a pumpkin and melon farm, which can be automated, this is also a great way to go. Cleric villagers will trade you for rotten flesh. So if you have a zombie AFK farm and you have a ton of rotten flesh sitting around, this is a great option for emeralds. And finally, the mason will trade for clay balls as his first trade. And then as his second trade, he will trade for stone. These are a little bit more intensive because you have to mine these up, but clay is now renewable. And if you have a silk touch pick and have gone mining for a while, you probably have a ton of stone laying around as well. If you'd like to assign a villager a workstation, it works differently between Java and Bedrock. On Java, basically, all you have to do is it is based off proximity. So the closest workstation to the villager will almost always be assigned to that villager. And so you just destroy the one in front of them and they will assign themselves to that workstation. If you are on the Bedrock version of the game, if you're trying to assign workstations to villagers, it works a little bit differently. You'll put down a workstation and you'll see these green particles. That means that it's been assigned to a villager, but that villager is not necessarily the one like right next to it. So like, let's say this guy right here. On Java Edition, if I placed that workstation right there, he would almost always get it, but not true on Bedrock version. So what we are looking for is the villager that was assigned. Oh, it looks like he's actually right here. This is the guy who got it. So we break that. He doesn't have a job. We put it down. He has a job, and it'll always be this guy. It's like they're all waiting in line, and he's next in line for a job. So because it's him, we can destroy his temporary block, set it down. Now he has access to the workstation, and then we work on the next one. So we put it down, we look for particles. I think it was him right there. We can break it, look for little anger particles. Sometimes they do little anger. He's mad that I destroyed his workstation. But he's next in line, so we have to make sure that his workstation is directly next to him before moving on. This is, once again, only a Bedrock thing. Eventually, after trading with villagers enough, they will start to refuse trades. They're like, okay, that's you've given me enough. I don't need any more stone. In order for that to reset, they need to work at their workstation again, and that will reset twice a day. They also need to have slept, and that's why we have that bed in there. All the villagers I was talking about before, where we're trading kind of raw items for emeralds, those are almost like your starter villagers. You're not really going to get like the most OP loot from them. Instead, you're going to have other villagers like the librarian, which will give you some really OP stuff. But you have to level them up in order to get some of those better trades. Let's specifically talk about the librarian, because this is probably going to be the first time that you're going to want to make sure that a villager's trades are nice before you lock in what trades they have. You may not know this, but the villagers' trades can be switched out as long as they haven't been traded with before. You'll see a little experience bar on a villager, and if that has gone up at all, then their trades are locked in. The librarian on the very first trade can trade you an enchanted book. You can get every enchanted book except for soul speed. So you want mending, you got it. Unbreaking 3, you got it. Sexy stud 5, well, that's not a real enchantment, but I mean, maybe. But you want to make sure that this first trade that they have actually has a book that you want. Maybe, you know, it's something you don't want. So you can put down the lectern, which is the workstation that the librarian wants, check their trades. If you like the book, make sure that you trade with the villager, because I've had some glitchiness in the past where it doesn't get locked in. So make sure to trade with the villager to get that one locked in. But if you don't like the book, or the book may not show up as one of the first trades, break the lectern, wait a bit, put it back down, and then try again and see if that villager has a book that you like. Some of the more impressive trades, like enchanted diamond tools, enchanted diamond armor, those you need to upgrade specific villagers. Enchanted diamond armor comes from the armorer, which requires the blast furnace as their workstation. Enchanted diamond tools comes from the toolsmith. The toolsmith requires a smithing table as their workstation. You can get name tags eventually from the librarian, enchanted bows and tipped arrows from the Fletcher. If you want enchanted weapons, the weaponsmith will give you those at their later levels. And finally, the cartographer will give you a map to an ocean monument, a map to the woodland mansion, or a banner pattern eventually once you level them up. And there you have it. Villager trading halls are amazing. Once you make one, you'll constantly be going back to the villager trading hall to get all sorts of stuff. In my survival series, I used it as like the primary food source, getting those golden carrots from the farmers, getting all my enchantments from the librarians. And when I needed to find a woodland mansion, I had my cartographer there to give me that map. I hope that you found this video useful. If you did, please give this video a like. Make sure you subscribe for future videos just like this one on OMG Craft, and leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts about the video. See you on the next one. Bye.